the first note that was struck, they just went wild.
That natural talent. You're born with that.
He's like a, what you call it, piper, and we're like some mice. Anything he say, we do.
That's the king of the road. I mean, that's the king of the road.
Energetic, just name it. Next Friday, he had it.
Some of the ideas, don't know how we just get them, how we just write them.
Friday, very competitive.
It's like he invented the word of competitiveness.
He was the father of our fathers. Great father, good man, good friend, everything.
He did what he came here to do, and he did it well.
What makes a superstar? Is it great talent, tremendous showmanship, or maybe it's the ability to excite a crowd with one word, yet silence a mob with a single gesture? Whatever it is, this man certainly had it. But who was this great talent known to so many as Nick Daddy Friday? And how was he able to transform the way calypso music is played in the Caribbean region? At a very early age, Trevor Nicholas Friday showed an interest in music. Born December 28, 1961 in Antigua, Friday, along with his mother, sister, and brothers, moved to Tortola when he was just 7. It was there that some family members and Friday himself would agree that he found music and used it as an outlet to express himself.
When he lived with my great aunt in Tortola, it was very strict Seventh-day Adventist. I understand they would have, like late Saturday afternoon or something when all the kids were around, she'd have them singing. And from what I understand, Nick would always, when it was his turn, he was always very quiet and sort of almost, withdrawn, kind of, not withdrawn in the negative sense, but very quiet into himself. And when the opportunity to sing came, he just totally came out of his being and just was a whole different person. So they will say that that's pretty much where he got his start and his stage presence, because he had to perform and outshine the other children.
With my aunt in Tortola, we attended church and I sang in church and I loved singing. I joined the choir, and ever since that tender age of about 6 or 7 years old, I always knew I wanted to be a singer.
But Friday's stay in Tortola was short-lived. Once again, Friday and his family found themselves on the move. This time they headed west to St. Thomas. The move to the Virgin Islands allowed Friday's mother, Lillian Friday, to pursue a nursing career. It also fostered young Nicholas's love of music and provided a platform on which he would ultimately set the standard for calypso in the territory.
As far as I know, I used to have a trombone at home and he used to play around with it. And then at school, he started singing.
His brother says that he usually sing at calypso, special calypso around the house all the time, and he sounded good, so he thought of entering him in a competition at Nazareth.
Friday entered the competition with one goal in mind: to win. However, the Nazareth event was no walk in the park. The competition was fierce, and Ralph Rabbi Felix, who is now a composer for the Rising Stars Steel Orchestra, proved to be Friday's most formidable opponent.
We weren't in the same class, really, but we were going to school at the same time, I remember having a calypso competition with him one time, He was singing a song by Kitchener named Jericho. And I was singing a song named Bamsi by Lad Funny. My calypso name was Lad Boiled Fish. Yeah. Yeah, man, and we were nice competition, you know.
We were writing our own songs, and I sang a song by Kitchener named Jericho, and I took the crown over 5 other people. From there, I started playing in the school band and stuff like that.
And one day, I went at home and I saw a crown on the table, and I inquired what was going on. I said, well, he was the Calypso king of the school. Of course, I wasn't too happy about the Calypso business, and I told him I wasn't happy and I was against it. And then Dr. Emmanuel was over there, and apparently he told Dr. Emmanuel what was happening. So Dr. Emmanuel came to me and spoke about the boy and his calypsos, and he was good at it, and I should allow him to continue. And since the doctor spoke so well of him, I allowed him.
From back then, he had that stage charisma. He had it from back then, man. Yeah, he just needed to develop it, you know, just need to expose it, because he had it, you know. You know, that's that natural talent. You're born with that, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, drop, 2, 3, 4, 1.
So with his father's blessings, Friday continued his calypso career, winning more high school competitions and eventually moving on to play with TNT Brass, an explosive young and talented band.
I basically had a good start in calypso at Nazareth Bay High School. There is where I also joined a band named TNT Brass, which is the real core of what jam band is today, you know. It started out with people like Ray Giant Francis, Robert Sperm Leonard and stuff. All of us went to school together. Henry Todman, Trevor George. We had a nice group of guys. Steve Terrell, we all started in high school.
And while Friday's talent as a calypsonian couldn't be denied, it was his other talents that began to take the spotlight during this period. In the athletic arena, Friday was a multi-sports star at Nazareth High School, a standout in both football and basketball.
Basketball was my life back then. Basketball taught me discipline. Basketball taught me everything, you know. Basketball built my character, you know, and I just love the game.
From childhood time, we played basketball together, you know. He's been a sportsman and everything. I used to play with a basketball team by the name of Jayutes. He used to play with Bovoni basketball team. And he was quite a sportsman. He used to win all the trophies and stuff. Some stage at life, my father, being in music and stuff, my father told us we had to make a decision whether we're going to be musicians or we're going to be sports people. I mean, we had to make a decision whether we're going to play sports or play music, because it was kind of hampering with our schedules, you know.
Friday's athletic ability was so good it overshadowed his music. Calypso and TNT Brass would temporarily take a back seat. Friday chose sports. One of the top wide receivers in the territory, Friday earned a football scholarship to attend and play at Division I Oklahoma State University. But dreams of a career in professional football were short-lived. The sweltering Oklahoma conditions during the fall workouts were too much for Friday to handle. Friday left Oklahoma and transferred to Hampton University. There, Friday got a basketball scholarship to play for the school. But his transfer proved to be a case of moving from one extreme to another. The harsh D.C. winter didn't suit Friday, so he returned to St. Thomas, back to his home, his family, and his music.
Couldn't stand the heat, and he went up to Hampton at the same time, and he couldn't stand the cold. So he came home for Christmas, and that was it. All on his mind was music. Oh, it was rough. Because I can tell you, between that one and him, I don't think they're friends from that date until now, because he was thoroughly upset with him and he said he wasn't going back. They nearly came to blows, but we couldn't get him to go back. Couldn't get him to go back.
Education has always been very important to us. My parents are people of a certain means, and they stressed education, and we always put that in the forefront. My sister Jennifer, she went on to college. She now has a PhD, and we always took a lead from her in terms of what we did. So it was normal and accepted that we go to college. So we did that, and when Nick decided he wasn't going to go back, I was very disappointed, because I thought that that's what he should have done, because my sister Jennifer did it, I did it, my brother John did it, Joanne did it, and he was the next in line.
But Nicholas had another path in mind, music, and this was a path he pursued relentlessly. Friday's return to St. Thomas marked the resurgence of his calypso career and TNT Brass. His return provided the band with stability at lead vocals.
This is Cookie Point. This is one of the fish fry sheds that we would normally hold a Sunday evening. Jam here, Eddie and the Movements will be playing, and during his break time, he will give us a half an hour, and sometimes we'll end up playing 2 hours during his break because the people would fall in love with the music so much just to see some youths being able to play the level of music that we was playing.
However, even with Friday at lead vocals and playing at its peak, TNT Brass seemed to be playing second fiddle to Eddie and the Movements, the diverse band who at the time was a major calypso force in the territory and Greater Antilles.
I started, and it formed into a group from the high school mostly, and Ross Reg and Otis Martin, those guys was with the band at the time. You know, when we started, I tried to get some of the other guys to fit in with them, you know. And we started, we walked away until we started to play some tunes, and people like what they heard just from around listening, you know. And we started to play some concerts on Friday nights in the bandstand in St. John. Then from there, people started hiring us to do some fish fry parties and so on. And it's grown until it spread to St. John, Tatola, St. Croix, and just about all over the Caribbean, and even to New York and a few other states.
But with many of the members leaving the band after graduating from high school, Francis constantly found himself needing replacements. Fortunately, Francis recognized the talent within the young TNT Brass band. His son was the bass player, and the band lead vocalist was a legend in the making.
After some of the guys started to go away, after graduation from school, I had to replace them. You know, so it was like institutional, keep replacing and everything. And that's the way Friday group came in.
We graduated from TNT Brass in 1980. Eddie for Eddie and the Movements asked us to join his band. And we joined the Movements, and from there it was major music history. I mean, when we got in with the Movements, we became exposed to a lot of the big kind of music, the crowds and everything, you know, and people started to appreciate us more. When we were in TNT Brass, we used to compete with other bands like the Dread Ones. They were from Charlotte and Mali High School. We were from Eudora, Kenya. It was a kind of competition, you know, and that was made for fun.
With the change came immediate results. Friday made an impact with both his vocal skills and songwriting ability.
At the time, when we go on record for Carnival, we used to take sometimes song from some of the other young guys that couldn't promote their song, you know. So we take their song and record it and build it up, you know, and give them credit and so on. And the first song that really hit big was, I should say, Backbone. Backbone was belonging to one guy in St. John. But Friday took that song and really did wonders of it. I did the music for it and gave it to him, and he did wonders with the lyrics and so on.
See how you whine in front of me, like you want to spring, sweating up your body.
Carnival 1981. He had a song called Backbone. I had a song called Jam for 81. Remember this? So we gon' jam in the band for 81. That was the song I did, one of my first songs I wrote in 1981 with Mandingo Brass. He was with Eddie and the Movements, and we were battling for the road march. Some people like his song, some people like mine, you know? And it came down to the wire. They were leading by a point or two coming into the stadium, because that's where you finish judging the road marches and stuff. So somebody off of their truck came down and went ahead of the other bands and tell the other bands to play their song so they could get a wider margin to win the road march. So it was really kind of comical, but they ended up winning the road march in 1981 with the song Backbone.
When he took the first road march with like Backbone and stuff, you know,
it was something like, well, we didn't expect Backbone to be the road march because simply the tempo it was not a up-tempo tune, you know. And when you understand, we actually won the road march. I mean, they won the road march because I used to be the band boys do the mixing then. They actually won the road march, man. Friday was so hilarious, man. He was all over. He won the road march. He won the road march. This is the same movements that they say broke up and come again.
Friday's acquisition grew the movement's following and increased its loyalty.
This was one of the most hottest spots back in the tent. Down here is where he created his most hit song, Let Loose, where he had we take off our hat, our shirt, everything he said us take off. And then when the band take a break, me and some of the guys, we go outside and we just dance without music. That's when we come up with the Death Man Jam. Because we be outside, break time, and just dancing in the street. Band take a break, we still dancing, come back inside, stay dancing, dance done, we still dancing all the way home.
In 1985, bandleader Eddie Francis retired. The torch was passed, and Friday, along with Ray Francis, Eddie's son, were now the leaders of their band, the Jam Band.
Let's off, people, let's off. Music to rock your back off. Are we who run things? Are so we run things? Are we who run things? Jump into it, money. Are we who run things? Are so we run things? Are we who run things? Look, we got these people skipping, singing.
After Eddie decided to retire, we then had his name Eddie and the Movements, and we couldn't use Eddie and the Movements anymore, so we changed the name to Jam Band because people used to call us Eddie and the Jam Band Movements anyhow.
Jam Band's popularity grew, yet on a larger scale, it took the masses time to catch up with Friday's style of music.
When we first started out playing, the style of calypso music that was liked or loved around here was the slow tempoed calypso. And everyone would say, you're playing too fast. You know, you're playing too fast. You got to play slow like the Trinidadians.
But Friday was determined to continue his up-tempo pace was played and change the way he tapped into the AM radio audience, soliciting the crowned prince of the airways, Irvin Brownie Brown, as a featured artist on a song for the band's album. The song was Slide Wine.
Well, Slide Wine is a thing that I created. You see, Brungy and Walter created. I love Latin music because I used to play it. And one day I got a record, I forgot the name of it now, everything just, I got the name of it and I put it on. It's a merengue style thing. And I put it on and then I got the idea to see around 12 o'clock midday is when people eating and they not paying much attention maybe to radio. So I just decided to try something different. And what I tried was the Slide Wine, which came in like accidentally. The tune that was playing was a heavy merengue. And I just decided to dance with it in here by myself. And it worked out because I heard a lot of people outside was doing it. Now what we're going to do is have a little slide wine. Everybody can join in, but you got to be on a chair that have wheels, okay? In order to enjoy this thing. You got your chair with wheels? Okay, we're ready. Now it's a little part where you're going to call walk up, walk up, walk up. This is how you walk up.
Slide Wine became a favorite in offices throughout the territory. It increased Jam Band's audience and exposed many more to the changing wave in calypso.
Higher people, higher. Higher people, higher. Higher people, higher. Higher people, higher. Ross, this is Mars.
Friday would eventually win the approval of the masses and change the sound and face of the music.
The people actually followed our music because we changed the whole trend. Everyone realized now that the people were going for the faster style of music. So Trinidad music changed completely over the years. From nice slow tempo to the up tempo now what you're hearing until they gone too fast.
If you look at even the bands today, all the bands today from 19 whenever he started up until 2007, they're still emulating Nick. I mean, you look at the guys that are singing, they got the neck on the side and you know, they just do everything just to be a Nick Friday. Regionally, it's the same thing. You go down to St. Kitts, you go down to Nevis, the whole Caribbean. The whole music has changed just because of Nick.
Friday developed something, I mean, we call it jam band style, more or less, right? It was different. The chants, the music that he created with his band, it was totally different. That it came out, and I think it was adapted by most of the other islands. That style of music, not only Caribbean wide, but the bigger islands, Trinidad and all those other islands now start to take note. And if you notice, they have stepped up the tempo a great deal, and that tempo came from Imaji, Elimat, Jamban. We were the small island bands that bring that, so Friday was part of that.
But more than just elevating Calypso's tempo, Friday also influenced the content of local songs in almost every genre.
Let me see you remember this. Hardship. Everybody, hardship. Everybody, hardship. Everybody, hardship. Turn it up and bang it.
Telling your man be quick on the highway and look for the black van playing Nick Friday.
And in soca, Friday's influence on the music was probably most evident at the 2005 Calypso Monarch competition in Trinidad. The song's original version was performed years earlier in St. Thomas. It was Friday's 16th Road March hit.
He came home and he was like, guys, would you believe I made up this song? And it's so funny because I could imagine seeing these people doing indicator left and indicator right and pushback bumper and stuff, and we were just there having a good time.
The governor is coming down. I guess he's going to start his windshield wiping.
I also remember standing near the, at Post Office Square, near the dignitaries' booth where the governor and folks sit. And it was pretty quiet. I was standing there for some time talking, and when the band came up, just as soon as they hit the corner by Garden Street, right, the old Chase Manhattan Bank, and I don't remember what the song was, but when they came into Post Office Square, I remember everybody on that dignitary stand getting up and dancing, because I remember turning, these can't be the same people. And I stood there in awe of what had just occurred, from them sitting there quietly, letting this band come through, and then everybody just erupting. And that will always be in one of those sort of moments that you go, okay, I get this.
That's the king of the road. I mean, that's the king of the road. He can think up lyrics right on the spot.
Man Terrible, Woman Bad, all those songs came a part of little things that happened over the years. You know, like you said, political things, little other things, little other situations, and all those bring into songs have its own type of meaning.
A woman bad, let them know, Jamban hard. We from Rock City, and we don't care. Jamban massive, hands in the air.
Gotta give it to Nick. He's a good writer. Some ideas, don't know how to get them, how to write them.
Nick Friday's songwriting lyrical skill were astronomical. The guy, he just like went into people's minds and just wrote and did it. I mean, I couldn't even touch him, not even with a 10-foot pole. You know, he was just a genius.
He's very educated. Don't mind how he might be on stage. He's very educated. He's well-rounded. It kind of freaked me out in one of his songs one time. He even mentioned Fred Astaire. A lot of people don't even know who Fred Astaire is.
Friday was born in an era that we all grew up in those days. Kitchener, Sparrow, those guys, Calypso Rose, everyone who made music in them days, we grew up listening to those stuff. Friday was a genius in that, because many times if I'm not playing and I happen to go around Jamban, when they start, sometimes he starts with just a rhythm machine alone. He starts to sing and he go way back to Melda, way back, and you know, you'll want to know, well, some of the kids like follow him, don't really realize where those songs came from. So he had that ability, he had all those knowledge for the songs from in the past.
Friday really loved the people, and Chewy, Friday create most of his songs
Weird, Banjo, Merit, the biggest, Peso, Jaman, Ross, Mad, Dalmigo, Alaba, Weird, Myron, Charlie, Redmond, Blood, Rockin', Awi.
Cassie Hill, this like to the stop coming up the hill. Je sais pas our ship start. When we just stand there going up this hill, we say, well, how we gonna tramp up this hill? So, Para say, my son, let we chip up the hill. So he say, well, let me go foot. Then me and start to run like a horse coming up the hill. Start to chip going up the hill. Been all over St. Croix, St. John, all over chipping, along the wall. Miami, all over. Right here on this hill.
He was here bracing the stage in the early 80s, and that time I was just looking at him also. If you're talking about tune that's a different, tunes like Horse Strip, I mean like a man could actually like take horse and put it into, you know, something like that. You know, he had to be somebody that extra different.
It seemed Friday could make a hit from anything, even tragedy. In 1989, Hurricane Hugo devastated the territory. To make light of a bad situation, Friday tapped into his fan base and wrote about the storm's aftermath. The result was another hit song.
At the time, Jam Man used to be playing in a place called Rascotec, and we had a storm at just past September the 16th. And with no power and no this and that, we couldn't really do too much things. And Friday used to still come and say, you know, we need these kind of things as far as music and things. And at the time, people were around the place with whatever they had get from looting and things, because there was a hurricane, and that was like the first major hurricane the islands ever had faced, where you had a wide vast of looting where people inherit things. And people end up with chain and ring and bad shoes and bad clothes and thing. And I just take the slogan and I turn it, as far as at the time Dan was a big force in whether involving illegal things or legal things, and Dan was like a big force in. So I just take the concept and I say, you go make a lot of people dance. And I take it to Friday, and Friday say, yeah man. And from there you run away with it. You know?
This successful formula was duplicated in 1996 when the territory was struck by another massive storm. St. Thomas felt the brunt of Hurricane Marilyn, and this time the musical genius sought help from a young girl who was very close to his heart.
Got a lot of the inspiration from like seeing us do things. Like I remember when Hurricane Marilyn came out, and him and I were in the bedroom, and we were laying down on the bed, and I was like, hop, 2, 3, Marilyn. And then later on, he came out with Marilyn song, and there was a part in there that had hop, 2, 3, Marilyn, hop, 2, 3. 2, 3, Marilyn, hop, 2, 3, Marilyn, blow, Marilyn, slow, Marilyn, go, 2, 3, blow up the roof, mash up the gas, so, mash up the band, go down the gas, mash up the plan, run.
But as good as Friday was at taking an everyday, ordinary event and turning it into a hit calypso song, not everyone approved of his lyrics.
Good evening. You're on Face to Face.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Yes, I have a question about the lyrics of Jam Band. I think some of Jam Band lyrics create a hostile environment for their followers. Songs like, for example, Kill the Rabbit in the past, and
interesting.
Your big toe, jump on your big toe. These kind of lyrics sometimes create some of the problems that you've been talking about. What are they doing about their lyrics?
In fact, during Friday's career, some blamed him and his band for negative and violent outbreaks during Jam Band performances and carnival celebrations.
Why is everybody on Jam Band's case, and other bands have,
same kind of problems.
I'm not denying the fact that other bands may have problems, but in my experience as chief of police, most of the problem surround jam band. And well, let me stop saying jam band. The followers of the band.
Yeah.
Now they may have problems, fights, and other stuff in the other bands they do in Juve, but we, based on the reports that get back to me, it's always surround jam band.
Yeah.
So we must focus on that group. I mean, it's obvious.
This Killer Rabbit thing, they misinterpret the thing from the beginning. Now, this Killer Rabbit been playing on TV for years. If you watch Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny play, you hear that song Kill the Rabbit all the time. I throw that in there as a catchy thing for the old master, and it was working out fine till something happened with some steel band or something in the waterfront or wherever for that year. But is nobody going to tell me that my lyrics could make people do things, because I've heard Calypsonians sing, they got I bust up the head, and Sparrow, Shadow, all them, they sing more violent songs than me. Born in Flames had more violent songs than me, and no song could make nobody do nothing. Don't care what people say, no song could make nobody create no violent, that jump low, mash them at the big toe, that could make you mash up a car. It don't make sense. I gonna write lyrics, and to tell me to sing certain things, I ain't gonna do it. I gonna write the lyrics like how I feel. I never gonna write a lyric to tell a man, well, shoot a man or kill a man or something like that. But if I find something catchy, me gonna say, well, me gonna sing that because Tom might like it. I write it for me out of my heart, and it's gonna be wrong to like try to contain my lyrics just because other people gonna make things out of them what they aren't. You know, and jam band lyrics ain't no different than nobody else's lyrics. If you listen to everybody else's lyrics, you hear more worse things than what in my songs. But the focus on me because of the popularity of jam band, for one, and jam band will make good news next. So if you check all the other songs, they have more violent things than why they say. I don't really say anything violent. No. Why say saying fun and for everybody to have a good time? A Calypsonian could use double meanings. When a Calypsonian say mash up something, he don't mean to mash up a cow, mash up nothing like that. He mean like having a good time, party or something like that. You know, if you want to read something in the lyrics were A and B, that's up to you, but nobody gonna tell Nick Friday to say, well, sing this way because so and so can behave. So it don't work like that.
He had a song back in that year, and he was called named Smash. And when he started to play that song, people started to go crazy, to jump in wild and crazy. So at the time, it was Eddie and the Movement. Eddie told him, well, you know, we got to change that song, and you know, that one ain't gonna work. I don't think they'll accept that one. So he went home and, you know, sitting down one day, he just sitting down playing his ukulele and came up with a Cool 'em Down song.
Begging Mr. Guitar, please give me a song, for I just don't know what to sing. I plan to come out smashing and analyze the tongue. Well, I tell me cool down the thing. I don't want no trouble when we jump up bubble. You don't want no violence inside the band. Eddie tell me no way, cool 'em down Friday. Beware of confusion.
After the Jamba style, with Sideman, those people really going on terrible, so we're going to try to cool the temper a little, you know. So we record this song, Cool 'em Down, Cool 'em Down. But it really didn't cool them down, you know, because they were jumping the same way, but you could see that at least people see that we wasn't encouraging that type of behavior, you know.
Whether people loved his music or despised his lyrics, there was no mistaking that on stage and on the mic, Friday possessed an unparalleled power over the crowd.
I'd hear about it, and I'd come home for Carnival, and I'd see him perform and see the crowd reaction. But I always remember sort of the first time that it hit me, physically hit me, so to speak. I came home, I remember coming home, my flight came in, it was late in the afternoon flight, and Carnival was already happening. And my parents picked me up and said Nick was performing in the Village. And I said, oh, let me stop in and at least say hello to him on the way home. And we parked the car, I got out the car, and the band was on a break. And so I was walking towards the stage to go and greet him. Before I got to the stage, though, they'd regrouped. And I remember when the first chord was struck, and people just threw their hands up, and somebody's hand made a connection with my face. And I'm like, I don't think so. I'll see him tomorrow. And I got out the crowd. You know, and I'd heard about it, but until you're sort of in the middle of a crowd of young people who were in this lull, and that's the first note that was struck, they just went wild.
The guy had a way, he like a, what you call it, piper, and we were like some mice. Anything he say, we do.
It's that time of the night. If you have a hat, I said if you have a hat, take off your hat and wheel. 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 Wave it in the jump. Wave it in the band. Wave it in the jump.
And it was this presence, this controlling force over fans, that Friday and Jam Band brought to every performance, and unfortunately for some, every competition, especially the Road March Showdown.
I don't know if he had anybody more competitive than Daddy, because when he did manage to lose a road march, so like me, for instance, I was fortunate to win probably of all the road marches from 1978, let me go back to 1981. From 1981 until present time, 2005, that's 24 years ago if I'm correct, 24 years gone. From then, Friday has lost probably about 5 road march between 1981 and 2005. I was responsible for winning 3 of those. In 1982, like I said, Halfman Jam, 83 in Traffic Tight, and in 1998 with This One Is For Milo. He also had a thing where in the years with the twos, in 1992, he didn't win the road march either. I think that was Imaginations. I think they had Arm and Dangerous, I believe the name of the song was. In 2002, when we had our 50th anniversary, Daddy Jones came from St. Croix and Pat Raggy with Happy Body Carnival and win the road march then too. And Friday would really, you know, he wouldn't really act and cuss and go on and so, but you know, visually he was upset because this is his thing. Nobody is supposed to come and win the road march from him. And then he would just come back the following year with more blood in his eyes and win the road march again. So that was really that was really the competitive side of Daddy Friday.
Friday with the Jam Band and Imaginations were just competition all the way. It was really competitive. He had a very competitive spirit, and it drove both bands to be so competitive that's what caused the music of the Virgin Islands to come out.
Very competitive, extraordinary competitive. That's one of the driving force in Jam Band, because we even are competitive among ourselves to strive, not in a negative way, but a positive way. But Friday, very competitive.
It's like he invented the word of competitiveness. Hey, in whatever he do, this guy was competitive.
And no band felt Friday's competitive nature like 17 Plus. Although the group of young musicians seemed talented enough to threaten Friday and Jam Band for the top spot in Virgin Islands calypso music during the mid and late 80s, the group, as good as it was, couldn't overcome Friday's already legendary status.
The thing was, we and Friday was knocking head to head, you know, just like we were knocking head to head with Flames. So I mean, he used to try a lot of strategies and stuff, but they never worked because we was always ahead. You know, we was always ahead at the time. We had the hipper songs, you know. We had the dress code, you know. We were just all out, you know. But then at the same time, he used to try, you know, and he used to succeed because it's Friday.
Regardless of how some felt about the outcomes, by 2005, Friday and the Awesome Jam Band had amassed 19 Road March titles. The band showed no signs that it was slowing down. In fact, for Friday and his band, the time was right to cross the waters and contend for the Festival Road March Challenge on the Big Island.
I'm sure some Crucians would like Daddy Friday to one day throw in an offering to win St. Croix Road March title. Ever? Would you ever do that?
I would do it. I would do it. I don't want everybody to say, well, I ain't giving them a chance.
Right.
Or I don't want just come in and take over St. Croix, because when I come in to take over. I ain't coming to half step. I come in to run the thing. So if I come in St. Croix, I come in full force. So I give these guys a little chance now.
How much more chance they got?
Well, next year I'll come with something just because you tell me something.
Just because I am.
But tragedy struck, and Friday's vie for a 20th Road March title and a St. Croix Festival takeover would never materialize. A secret the King of the Road kept from many finally caught up with him. On October 3rd, 2005, at approximately 8:30 a.m., Friday was brought to the Roy Lester Schneider Regional Hospital by his girlfriend Jackie. The singer had experienced a sleepless night due to a high fever, chest pains, and swelling in his extremities. The complications were related to Friday's long bout with diabetes.
Been ill for quite a while, but him being the person that he was, he didn't want anyone to know that he was sick. He wanted to be out there singing and to continue singing until the end.
I knew that he was sick. I didn't know how sick. You know, I used to hear a lot of stuff. He kept a lot of it a secret. I guess, you know, he probably didn't want to really worry us, you know, but I mean, that it shocked me. It was rough.
We couldn't let anyone know, you know, the extent of his illness because that's what he wanted.
Friday would not leave the hospital alive. The VI legend died the next day just before 5 p.m.
A wave of unfortunate news this Monday afternoon as we can now confirm the death of Nicholas Nick Friday, the leader of the renowned jam band at the Royal Schneider Hospital. Having heard the reports about an hour ago, we've been able to make contact with the Chief Operating Officer of the Schneider Regional Medical Center, Amos Carty Jr., who confirmed Friday's death just before 5 o'clock this afternoon. Reports from fans, family members, as well as members of the jam band indicate that Nick Friday had fallen ill in recent days. He had been hospitalized either Saturday night or Sunday, and gradually his condition worsened despite the best efforts of his physicians to treat complications from diabetes. Again, we can now confirm the death of Nick Daddy Friday, a musical icon, a man certainly who can be credited with changing forever the Virgin Islands music landscape. In his early 40s, Nick Friday is dead.
Word of Friday's passing spread throughout the Caribbean community like wildfire. Almost immediately, calls were coming in from the U.S. mainland and beyond. Fans, friends, musicians, and promoters were all trying to verify the news. For many, it was hard to accept. The VI Calypso legend, the King of the Road, was dead at 43.
Expect somebody like Nick Friday to die, to be honest with you. Yeah, he's one of the guys that you expect to live to be 70 and 80 years old singing calypso until he can't sing it no more.
The outpouring of love following Friday's passing was monumental. Within days of his death, a website commemorating the life of the legend was launched. There were messages from fans, international soca artists, and dignitaries. The viewing and funeral services could arguably be the largest in Virgin Islands history, as throngs of people came out to see and pay their last respects to Friday. Inside, people sang songs.
Father alone, we know all about it. Father alone, we understand why.
Took pictures and offered their condolences to family members.
Let me tell you something, right? If my son become a half your son, I'm satisfied. He was a good man.
Outside, some paid tribute by playing and dancing to Friday's music.
How to take the road, daddy? How to take the road? The road, daddy, road, daddy. How to take the road? How to carry road, daddy? How to carry road? The road, daddy, how to carry road?
The Bertha Seba Shelter Auditorium was filled to capacity for the funeral service, with family, friends, fans, and dignitaries in attendance.
I hope that his fans and his followers will not allow Java to die. There was no music like this. It reached the very soul of your being. When you heard John Bam, your feet had to move. Even me, held feet,
It was only fitting that for an entertainer who made a career filling dance halls all over the world, the last venue to host him would be filled to capacity as well.
I got acquainted to Friday when it was Eddie and the Movements. Even though I'm from Trinidad, but those days I used to visit St. Thomas and perform with Eddie and the Movements, and there was Friday. We went to Antigua, Dublin.
Who cooked their food? Who cooked their food?
And from that time, we always have a good time.
Arab man.
Well,
No, that was
sad to say that he gone, but we all got to go. And we send out our condolences to his family and his fans.
Friday's funeral was one fit for a king, and the VI's King of the Road had the procession to match. For fans, it was their final chance to revel and tramp behind Nick Daddy Friday. Trevor Nicholas Friday, a musical genius whose work touched thousands and inspired many to follow in his footsteps.
Everybody who love Nick Friday, let's make some noise. Make some noise for Nick Daddy Friday. Touched many people around the world. We will be missing him. I have to follow him. I have to.
He's like our Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? It's just to see him and to see him control the crowd and get the response that he got. It was just is really something for aspiring artists to see on that kind of level. Like, you know, when you see it, you like, you know, I want to be that.
More than just a great artist, Friday was a role model that gave back to his community.
As a steel band, we don't have some of the electronic gadgets that exist in some of these brass bands. All we have is notes. Therefore, all we could do is kill you with music, so to speak. And Friday was, I think, understanding of that. And in his renditions, I think in some aspect, he tried to consider us. Many conversations we held with Friday between the arrangers of Rising Stars and Friday himself, myself, and others. And it was always along the lines of keeping whatever you put in together melodic, keeping it, you know, in such a way that as a steel band, we can give you the support that we want to give you.
As a coach, he was more inspirational, you know. You know the game, but when you come out on the field, everybody just get a little extra energy, you know, because Nick Daddy Friday on the field with you, you know, just get that extra energy.
He left a legacy to the school, and while he was here coaching with the guys, he initiated. You let the guys know whatever you do, you put your best, you try your best, you go 100%, and in that way you're going to achieve some great goals.
Practice every day, showed up to practice, and this is keeping with his band schedule. He used to work, he used to go school full-time or full-time student, so he was balancing a heavy schedule, but still took the time out to come to every practice, push the team, motivate the team, work real hard with the team. I mean, he was one of the best. I mean, I just admired his whole work ethic, and that passed on to the rest of us.
But above all, Nick Daddy Friday was a loving father, friend, and family man.
I remember back in the days when Daddy Friday and I, especially in New York City, big jams, Burning Flames. You have WCK, you also have Small Axe, you know, alongside Jam Band and these big clashes, you know. Daddy Friday used to come up sometime and say, hey, Daddy Wall in your murder in your tonight, you know, like grab my head and say murder.
He was the father of our fathers. His children came first and foremost. Even my kids came first and foremost with him because they were around him from the ages of 2 and 5, you know, and he was always there for them. Always there. They were number one.
So many good times and stuff we had. We I don't know. I think we had some real personal time, especially when his son was born, Nick and stuff like that. That was
really touching for him because he was so happy to be a father and stuff like that. And besides the music part, you know.
Very good boy, especially to me. What can I say? I couldn't say I need something, and he knew I needed it, and he didn't put himself out to get it.
The one thing that I miss the most, or that I remember most, is always the laughter and the jokes. I could count on him to tell me a joke about anything. Even my friends, when I talk to my friends, they can always tell me about, you know, your father is so crazy. I just see him, he always tell me something crazy, because that's just the kind of person that he was. And I sort of got that trait from him too, because when I'm around my friends, I could talk a whole lot of stupidness, and he does the same things too. And people always tell me, God, you look so much like your father, and you act like him, and you behave like him and everything. And I'm like, I don't see that, but no, I do. But I have a lot of great memories, and I just trying to hold on to them to get through this, because it's real hard for me. But great father, good man, good friend, everything.
Every
looks up
talented
to somebody. In the beginning, who did you look up to? Where did you get your musical inspiration from?
I got my music inspiration from a lot of different people, you know. Calypsonians like Short Short, King Abstinent, local artists like Otis Martin, Raswedge, Spook Shoes, things like that. A lot of people used to follow behind these bands, Willie Spinney. You know what I mean? I watch these guys, and when these guys would take breaks, we'll jump on the instruments and try to do a little thing when we were small and stuff like that. You know, guys like that were like all heroes, and I said one of these days I want to be like them, you know, and it came out for me. My advice to younger musicians, say, sometimes it might not happen overnight, that you become star or become big, but stick with it, practice, stay with it, don't give up, and eventually you could get where you want to go, you know. You could realize your dream. It didn't come for us overnight. You know, we worked hard over the years, and we got in a position where now we could travel and do as we want in this music, you know. But a lot of people want it right away, and they give up when they can't get it right away. But stick with it, it'll work out for you.
It's important to note that during the peak of his playing days, Friday returned to school and received a law degree. In recent years prior to his passing, Friday also ran for a seat in the VI legislature on more than one occasion. And although his bids were unsuccessful, Friday's attempt showed his unwavering desire to serve his community.
I figure that I'd be a good person to lead. I mean, if you stay on the side for years and not get into the game and just start, then you'll just pass by with time as nothing. I'm here, I'm actually being a part of the game, actually showing people I want to lead. And these islands need the best leadership we could find. I feel I'm part of that. I could be one of the best leaders these islands have.
Friday also left his fans the same way he was introduced to them, with music, with a song that made lawmakers consider new legislation.
First up, privilege, Senator Richards.
I prepared to offer amendment to 260-189, which is the bill to honor and commend Trevor Nicholas Nick Friday. The legislature of the Virgin Islands hereby adopt the song VI from the 2004 Jam Band CD entitled We from the VI as the territorial, not the national, as the territorial song of the Virgin Islands. I so move.
This song is one that came from the heart. A song Virgin Islanders can consider their own, and one that will always remind us all how special and fortunate we are to have seen and heard Nick Daddy Friday.
Talking about a land of beauty, we call it paradise. You want to come down and check we down in the Virgin Isles. We are a share of problems, we know you have yours too. We're doing our best to solve them. We want to welcome you.
We all have our place and our space and time. And some of us fill it well. We did that. my hat's off to him. But as I've said, he did what he came here to do, and he did it well. And we'll remember him for that.
You know, but jam band is who really set the pace and changed the style of music in the entire Caribbean. I don't see me doing it with any other type of music. This is the music that I want to take over the top. Calypso, jam band style calypso. So I see my future as, like I said, being on MTV, BET, and playing for huge crowds. For all the young musicians who want to be the next Jam Man or Crossfire or Square One, dedication, practice. You have to give up a lot of other stuff that you do if you really want to reach to the top.
The program you have just seen was sponsored in part by the Virgin Islands Council on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts.